What is good, ladies and gentlemen? What is good? It's your boy Cheats here. It is Monday night, August 18th. So you know what time it is. It is time for the Black Baseball Mixtape Podcast live. The entire crew is in the building, and I am excited to get started. Lots to talk about. Before we do, as always, we have a couple ask of you. One of those is make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, and we will tell you we're going to talk a lot today. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball regional realignment. We're going to talk about the Dodgers mind control over the NL West and bullying of the Padres. We're going to talk about how that AL West is shaping up between the Astros and the Mariners, and apparently the Rangers are falling off a cliff. We're going to talk about the Brewers being probably the best team in baseball you've never heard of. There's a lot to talk about. So make sure you subscribe and do so. We want to thank our partners, which are the Players Alliance, Minority Prospect, Rebellion Harvest, and Numbers Game Scorecards. Make sure you check all of them out as well. As I mentioned before, the crew is here. I'm joined, as always, by Flobo Boys. We can
Yes,
talk about
sir.
Monster Jam. We can talk about
Yeah.
NASCAR. We can talk about baseball. What
Yes,
is what
sir.
is going on in your world, Flobo?
Man, first of all, make sure to drop 5 stars in this podcast, man. We do this Mondays and Thursdays. 5 stars is what we need. But yeah, I was just saying before we went live, I was just did the weekend at the Monster Jam host auditions. They flew us out to Tampa. We were at the shows. We were giving reads. We were interacting with the fans, interviewing drivers. It was crazy just jumping in that world, because I remember as a kid, but I had fallen off a couple years and now I'm back.
So that sounds really, really exciting and really fun. I actually was at racing events all weekend as well. Friday and Saturday night, NASCAR came to Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
It is racing under the lights, if you will, and we've got a very special video crossover that is coming up sometime this week. It may be as soon as tomorrow, but Rajah Kruth, who is
Oh,
African American driver. He in the NASCAR Craftman Truck Series. He is an HBCU graduate from Winston-Salem State. He is a really, really exciting young driver, and we got to do a little bit of a baseball NASCAR crossover as we played catch in the garage with Rajah Kruth. That'll be coming up as well. So we've got NASCAR, we've got Monster Jam, we've got school teaching. April, how we feeling?
Hey,
The
everybody.
kids are back in school. How are you?
oh
I'm
no. Oh
good.
no.
I do have like positive news. When I was doing my get to know you section with my kids, I had a lot of kids that played baseball this year.
Nice.
So, yeah, that made me very happy. And of course, all of them know Shohei Ohtani, every single one of them. So,
Who doesn't know Shohei Ohtani? He is the best player in the game today. Fight me. I'm ready. I'm ready to take. I've seen so many Shohei stats recently that I am prepared to fight folks that say Shohei Ohtani is not the best player in the game.
They never say that. They come up with other stuff like his extracurricular activities.
yeah.
that is something. There's another Shohei lawsuit connection there as well. Speaking of gambling, how is I don't know how I'm gonna do this, Malik. I have nothing for you. How goes the world, Butterman Kane?
I thought you were gonna check how's Luis and how's Classe doing. But yeah, I thought that was gonna be the transition. I don't know how they're doing, but
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, we're in the stretch. I think that a lot of teams are getting tired. We predicted this, that August, the hot months are gonna get people tired. Some teams are gonna get hot, and some teams are just gonna get a little bit cold. Some of the teams we were rooting for are starting to see cracks in their armor, and it's interesting to see around this time of the season. Happy to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will talk about it, and we're going to start our show leading off with one of those major cracks in the armor, and that is the cracking of the San Diego Padres. I'm gonna turn it over.
That's what's
in. Our resident Dodger fan. Because here's the deal here. This is we want to get into this for a little bit, but here's the deal. The Padres had a 1-game lead going into, I would clearly argue, the most important series of their season against the Dodgers, and they completely dropped the ball. They got swept, lost every game. Turns out that I think it's 6 out of 7 or worse this season against the Dodgers. It is not going well. With that at the conclusion of this series, getting swept, the Padres went from 1 game up in the NL West to now 2 games behind the Dodgers in the NL West. So it doesn't matter. Injuries, pitching problems, Mookie Betts being cold. No matter what happens from hell or high water, it seems like the bullies of the NL West are wearing baby blue. They're playing in Chavez Ravine, and they, for some reason, no matter what happens, April, they just come out on top. What do you make of this series? What do you make of this Dodgers club right now?
It seems like they are just resilient, and they happen to rise to the occasion when it's necessary. And this is when you start to see the good teams versus the better teams, because they know how to be able to fight through that. I saw it this weekend whenever I watched the Brewers. I did some homework on the Brewers this weekend. I know we're going to talk about them later, but I was even ecstatic to see the fact that Mookie got that go-ahead home run late in the game on yesterday and kind of break out of that slump. And for those of you who have forgotten, the year when Acuna won the MVP, August was the month when Mookie actually began to ramp up and do quite well. So I think right now the Dodgers have some injuries out with Max Muncy, but Alex Freeland is playing exceptionally well. I can't think of the other guy that they have moving from time to time with Pajes in center field. But I just think that with this particular team, you have the veterans and they understand what's necessary to be able to win. Even Snell, he did a pretty good job yesterday, and y'all know that he has returned. So, but I'm not gonna lie, as a Dodger fan, I'm happy about it, but I'm also a little nervous because last year the Padres, they took us a lot in the regular season, but when it came to the postseason, that's where we were able to knock them down. And we play the Padres again this weekend. So
were you talking about Justin Dean, who's playing some center field for the Dodgers as well? Justin Dean, kind of sneaky. So interesting things are happening with the rosters as we kind of go into this time of year. Trade deadlines are over now, and all the activity are kind of roster, pickups, drops, moves around. Justin Dean from South Carolina. Malik, are you familiar with Justin Dean? I'm not as familiar, but I'll defer to you, but he does seem like he's getting a little bit of spot run in center field, spelling Paez from.
Yeah, like Justin Dean was an Atlanta prospect. He was a speed defense first, had some good bat to ball skills, but I think he found himself in that limbo that a lot of players find themselves in the minor leagues. And somehow he found his way on the Dodgers minor league system. They did their development thing, and now he's up with their major league team because it's looking like their outfield is needing a little bit more of a fresh breath of air. They picked up Alex Call, who's a pretty good outfielder, but I think that Justin Dean is kind of saving the legs of some of those outfielders a little bit that have been pretty much balling all season, the Pajes of the world, the Teoscars of the world, keeping those legs fresh for when they get ready for October, because we know that the Dodgers treat the regular season kind of like it's the regular season. And we saw that they had a little bit of a lull, and I think this is just an indicator that they're really just getting ready for October, if anything. Not saying that they're taking a step back and playing lazily or don't want to win. It's more so that they understand that the season's difficult. They just lost Muncy again. So it's really important to keep these players healthy, and they need every guy that they can get to get back to the World Series.
And I also want to add really quickly, a lot of people wonder why there are Dodger fans like me and my girl Diana who are huge Muncy fans. He adds a different element when he is in that lineup, especially since he has his glasses now. So having Muncy on that offensive side, that power is absolutely necessary for that lineup.
Let me quickly tell you guys, just because at the Black Baseball Mixtape, one of our goals is always to educate on the African American players on the roster. And again, Justin Dean may have snuck past quite a few of you. He was in the Dodgers organization last year in 2004, but it looks like he played games in Mexico. And then after being a non-roster invitee to Dodgers camp in January following a stint in Mexico, he was assigned to the Arizona Complex League, and then was on the Oklahoma City Comets as well. They actually selected his contract to come to the Dodgers just on August 8th. And then, so again, a lot of things, a lot of roster moves have cleared, but he is 28 years old, South Carolina native, played at Lenore Ryan in college, and is, again, finding some spot action here. Another guy, and I want to get back to Flobo, I want to get back to the Padres Dodgers, but another guy that kind of sneaky, again, just this time of year, you've got to watch this really closely because the Orioles signed, played Greg Allen, and then released him already. So it's one of those things where it is just like they're filling holes, they're moving, they're making things. They got Jet Johnson back. Daniel Johnson was released from the Giants organization. He's back in Baltimore. That actually forced Greg Allen, I believe, out of a lineup. But these guys they're just kind of movable pieces, and you're going to see a lot as we go to roster expansion. Flobo, let me ask you this. 3-game sweep, really important series. Really important series for the NL West. 3-game sweep for the Dodgers. Was this really, really good for the Dodgers or really, really bad for the Padres or both? Who should be feeling the most pressure right now?
I can't believe I'm saying this. What's today's date? August 18th,
Yeah.
2025. The day Flobito feels sorry for the Padres.
Yeah.
I mean, what is going on in San Diego? And the Dodgers are not necessarily a bad team. I would never say that. I won't disrespect them, but they were wobbling for a long time. The championship hangover was real. Injury was going on for it. Conforto still had a job. This was the chance for the Padres to really.
They were just coming off a sweep by the Angels. Let's not forget that.
Right.
Yeah. See, I see the sweep. So both times they when it came in Anaheim, both times, and even though the Dodgers are at 80%. Maybe even 81%. The Padres got close for what, a day and a half? They led the division, and that's it. That must be so demoralizing because it's like, yo, what do we have to do? And as a Mets fan, I've seen this when we have the same season, same division as Atlanta. Atlanta was going these runs, not this year, thankfully, but usually they're going these runs where 2 weeks and they just don't lose. And it's like, what do we do? So yeah, the pressure's on San Diego because we know their window is closing. They know their payroll is coming for cuts yet. We don't know what the new ownership group or ownership configuration is going to do. So I do feel like they have a bit more pressure than LA does.
Malik, can the Padres bounce back?
They can bounce back. I think that we need to kind of see and look at that bullpen. We got to examine all the sums of that team. There's been talks about their offense not producing the type of power that it needs to, but I think that they have the capability of bouncing back. You just need to get over that whatever that magic that the Dodgers have on them. But I think that wasn't there 12 to 15 articles I felt that came out over the last couple of months about how well the Padres are doing or how, awesome the Padres are doing at the trade deadline, how they're going to, overtake the Dodgers in one sweep is just changing everyone's minds about this team, which, granted, baseball is a recency bias sport, but I just feel like people are forgetting that this is a pretty good team. They have a great bullpen, probably the best we've seen. And I think that they can at least, they're going to go to the playoffs. We know that. But I think that there is still a chance that they can win the West.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I do think that this Padre team is in a better position. Obviously, again, we're in August. They did have a 1-game lead going into the series. I think what we're chalking this up to is you got to do it on the field. And the fact that the Dodgers have beaten they're 6-1 against the Padres this season. And it seems like no matter what the Padres do, they're just not going to beat the Dodgers. Kind of like no matter what the Dodgers do, they're not going to beat the Angels. But the Angels aren't going to be in the playoffs, Flobo.
Wild. Whoa. We got time.
They're not going to be in the playoffs, Flobo.
We got time.
So the I think the idea is you got to do it on the field, and everybody, even Commissioner Manfred, said over the weekend that he feels the Dodgers Padres rivalry is now at a stage where the Yankees Red Sox were, and everybody had a lot of eyes on this series, and the Padres did not get a game out of this series. So it's like when the lights come on, you have to perform, and it seems like it seems like a bigger than just a 3-game sweep in many ways, especially the way the commentary is and when you're following it. Now and again, that all could change tomorrow. They're all playing different teams. We will see what happens. Flobo, I'm going to give you the last word because you seemed as if you are disagreeing with the commissioner who said Dodgers Padres are as heated as a rivalry as Yankees Red Sox were several years ago. What say you?
I think the difference being is that, and I know if you ever been to Petco, what's the name of the group? Pantone 26575
294
8675309. When they roll through, I get those. But like I felt like Boston and New York can be a rivalry out of nothing. You can have a game at 11 o'clock on a Sunday on a Roku, and that to me would have more weight. I do feel like the Padres and Dodgers are hot right now, but they need the stakes. Like the NLDS makes sense, but I don't think it's as big. I know the commissioner has to say that, and the Dodgers need a rival, but no one's really having the Padres with the same respect as a franchise like the Red Sox or the Yankees.
What do you think, Malik? What do you think, April? Are they at this comparable level?
I have to disagree because if we really think about what the Red Sox and the Yankees would do to kind of to fuel this rivalry is that every offseason or trade deadline, they would try to get players and bolster their teams to beat each other. And so like for the Yankees, they would sign a player. The Red Sox would sign a player. And it was just like this tick for tat thing. And that's a little bit of what I'm seeing. Not only from like on the field standpoint, the rivalry is at an organizational standpoint where these teams really at an organizational level do not like each other. And they will make moves throughout the season to, upend each other. For the Padres, they're doing it a little bit differently. Shout out to Peter Seidler and rest in peace to him because he was one of the people that would like pour a lot of money into the team like a lot of owners would do. Now they have to move a little bit more financially responsibly, a little bit more financial responsibility behind their moves. They're making trades, developing players, whereas the Dodgers do both and they sign players. So I think we're seeing that same tit for tat that we are in a different way, in the modern baseball way, between two teams.
April, you get the last word on this from the group. What do you think? Do you think the Dodgers Padres have reached? Because earlier this year, didn't you say it was the Giant? You said the Giants Dodgers were a bigger rivalry. Have you conceded that point? And is this the biggest rivalry in baseball?
I think Giants Dodgers will always be a thing.
Bigger?
As a Dodgers fan, like we just hate the Giants. It does not matter. What I think right now within Major League Baseball, with what has happened with the Padres and in regards to where Manfred was going, I do believe that I don't think that as far as historically, it is as big as Yankees Red Sox. But in regards to rivalries in this present state, I don't really know one that is bigger than Dodgers Padres because it's not just the players that don't like each other. Like Dave Roberts is riled up, Mike Schilt is riled up, and then you add a player like Mason Miller onto the team, and the players are like, we don't like them. So people are literally tuning in and are like, I remember I was texting my homie this weekend, and I'm like, what are the odds that a fight is going to break out? And he's like, oh, somebody definitely swinging. So this is kind of where we are with the Dodgers Padres. And I do think that there's a different level of rivalry. When we think of Giants Dodgers, it's very historical, whereas this present moment just gives Major League Baseball that feel. Something might happen on the field, to the point Manny Machado didn't even do any press after yesterday's game, and I think he went 1 for 12 in the series. So big
I'm gonna
moment.
leave you guys with this 3 words, I guess. Yes, 3 words. It is
Uh-oh.
East Coast biased, and I think it's real.
Mm,
No.
mm,
And I think it's real. And what I
mm,
mean by that is the Red Sox Yankees are bigger. They are bigger because it is an East Coast thing
mm.
that we're gonna hype up bigger, and rightfully so. I think one of the things that we are also getting to is that it's not really a rivalry if big brother's just punching little brother in the face all the time. And that's what seems to be happening here. The Padres have to win
Yeah.
something of significance. They have to win a playoff series. They got to knock the Dodgers out. They've got to figure out a way for the Dodgers to actually feel about the Padres the way the Padres feel about the Dodgers. And that hasn't happened yet because the Dodgers haven't lost to them. So I think the Yankees Red Sox took new life when it wasn't just the Yankees beating the Red Sox every time. They made a whole documentary about on Netflix that won awards that was about the comeback and being down 3-0 and ultimately beating and questing the Yankees and going to the World Series and winning the World Series, which most people thought that was the World Series, right? If the Red Sox beat the Yankees, they won the World Series. Well, not really, but they had to do that. They have to, make it a rivalry. And I don't think the Padres have yet. I think the Padres hate the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I think they want to beat the Dodgers. I think Padre fans hate the Dodgers,
Yes.
but I don't think it is anywhere where it is with the Red Sox Yankees for one
Right.
reason. One, they play in LA, and then
Mm-hmm.
two, they haven't won anything. Like they haven't made it happen.
I also feel like on top of that, there are Yankee fans that hate the Red Sox and Red Sox fans that hate the Yankees. But if you talk to most Dodger fans who hate the Padres, it's more like I hate Manny Machado.
Yeah. Right.
But no one's like, Tony Gwynn built this wretched team. Like no one cares like
Yeah,
that.
we love Tony Gwynn. We just don't like.
Yeah, I think it was regional hate, right? Like New York doesn't like Boston. Boston doesn't like New York.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
you didn't even have to be a Red Sox Yankee fan. You say something about people in Boston, the New Yorkers are going to talk trash about it. I mean, it was just like a perfect storm of these types of things. Where again, and it turns out that both teams were very competitive with teams that made it happen. They're not there yet. Again, I think it can get there. I think last year in the playoffs was the most intense. Like they didn't like each other. They wanted to win. People were paying attention. It was a big deal, but the Dodgers still won, so they're still big brother. Like I mean, in order for this to be like getting Mason Miller is extremely helpful. Like if they could knock the Dodgers out of the playoffs and in a good series, or even not a good series, if they can just knock the Dodgers out of the playoffs, send the Dodgers home, and have the Dodgers wait a whole season about how they hate the Padres, then we might have something.
Right. And last thing before we move on, don't forget Mike Schilt was the manager when the Dodgers knocked, I think it was the Cards out a few years ago too. So he has that thing on his back as well as I need to defeat this team that has taken me out just as much as the Padres have that feeling.
Yep. So let's move on to our next topic when we talk about this. I feel like we talked about this maybe even the last two podcasts, so I won't belabor the point. But the Milwaukee Brewers have just ended their 14-game winning streak. The Reds, Austin Hayes walked it off in extra innings. They are absolutely outstanding.
Yes.
78 wins, 45 losses. They're 9-1, obviously, in their last 10 games because they had a 14 game. They're 14 out of 15 in their last 15 games. I do think people are now. It could be just me because I was telling you, obviously, up until last week, I wasn't even watching the Padres. I don't watch the NL Central. Still haven't watched a lot of them, but I've watched a little bit more. And I will say this: they are really, really good at putting together runs, winning games. Christian Yelich has been absolutely unreal to watch, and it seems like everyone in Milwaukee and now everyone is really starting to buy in and pay attention. I will ask you guys as a group, because I do think it was a little bit universal. Like we'd kind of all been like sleeping on the Brewers or not watching them play and perform. Has 14 games in a row. Have the talk about the Brewers over the last couple weeks. Have they piqued your interest as a watchable product day in and day out? I'll start with Malik because maybe maybe you've been watching them more than me, but it seems like the most of the world now realizes that you're not making a power list in Major League Baseball without putting Milwaukee at the top.
I don't know, Cheats. You might just be talking to the mirror, man. This team, these Brewers, they've been today they scored 4 runs in the 8th inning with having 1 hit.
Yes.
That is a different type of watchable baseball. I think in the season of struggles, all the top teams that we know have gone through a struggle bus. Okay. And the one team that hasn't really struggled, I mean, they struggled at the beginning of the season, but the team that we haven't had big questions about is the Brewers. And we're trying to figure out why there's like, everybody's like, what is it? And it's like, because they play baseball. They play baseball. And it seems so simple on a conversational level. Like, oh, why can't other teams just pick up the ball? Why can't other teams just defend this way? And I think that they're just answering the questions for us. It's with that manager. It's with the way that they've built the team to not really have ego stars. Not saying that you can't have, great players on your team to be able to, have a good team. That's that has good chemistry, but I think that this is a team made of just like guys who do their job at the best level. So if you're the best defender on the team, he wants you to be the best defender. Don't try to be the best power hitter. He's making guys play at their strengths, and I think that they're just playing ball, and they've kind of quieted all the haters, us included, probably.
Me included. You can say me. I don't think all of y'all are in the category that I was in. But here's the question I have for you. April, can the Brewers win the World Series playing this way?
Yes. I can't even believe I'm saying that. But Friday night, I got the alert that they were losing 8-1. It was Friday or Saturday. And I was like, to who? They losing 8-1 to the Reds? Turned it on. And then they're right back into the game within a couple of innings. And this is why this team is so good. Number one, they're very resilient. They do not allow too many things to get to them, and they play complete baseball. Like they run the bases well. When they are on defense, they're playing good defense. And I'm just like, I've really been missing them all season because I can't believe that this is a team that I haven't been fully engaged with. To watch them play complete baseball on both sides of the field, offense and defense. And I don't want to use this team as an example, but it's kind of hard to watch the Yankees some games because they don't play well on both sides of the ball. But when you watch the Brewers, that's the expectation that you have of a team like the Yankees. And then you are able to watch the Brewers. And don't get me wrong, the Reds were like fighting. So it's not like they were just laying down and allowing it to happen. Mm-hmm. It was some great baseball between both of them this weekend, and watching it just fully made me a believer, and also quite frightened because remember, the Brewers also swept the Dodgers this season. So just some fantastic baseball. And if you're not tuning in, make sure you tune in.
Flobo, have you ever heard of the rapper Sean Price?
Yeah.
Have you heard of Sean Price from the Boot Camp Click?
Okay. I have, but what is that?
Yeah. No. Bringing it home. Sean Price. I remember somebody talking to me about Sean Price and may he rest in peace. And the way that he described Sean Price and his talent was that this guy never took a bar off. He's a rapper that never took a bar off. You can say the same about guys like Black Thought, say guys like Jadakiss possibly. MCs that may not have had, may not be looked at as the greatest of all time or like smash hit album, smash hit type of thing, but just never took a bar off. I bring this full circle because the Milwaukee Brewers remind me of Sean Price. They just don't take plays off. They don't take games off.
Yes.
They don't take at-bats off.
Yes.
And I think what April was alluding to was you watch the Dodgers play, you watch the Padres play, you watch the Yankees play. God knows you watch you watch the Mets play. And there are games where you can say, man, they phoned it in today.
Yeah.
Like they just really took this day off. And the Brewers just don't do it.
Yes.
Now, this is where I'm going to ask you the same question, Flobo, that I asked April. But this is where I still feel a little bit of hesitation about the Brewers. Because there were teams like the Orioles a couple years back that I said remind me of this team in many ways. This team's better. But the Orioles just never when the season they won 100 games, it's because they never took it off. They played your Thursday night game the same way they played the Tuesday afternoon game, the same way they played the Saturday, game. And I think the Brewers do the same thing. But the problem is when you get to the playoffs, everybody has that level of intensity, and the Orioles didn't match it, right? Can the Brewers, currently constructed, do you think, Flobo, when the lights really get bright in playoff baseball and everybody's playing hard every night, do you think then the Brewers will hold up?
Short answer is no. And I know my bold prediction at the top of the year was like, they're not going to make the playoffs. Maybe that is another one I get wrong. But I will say this. If you look at the numbers, historically, let's say we're not actually playing the games, you're playing a video game of just like simulations, those things will bottom out. That's just a correction. Everyone's overperforming, everything's overclocking, something should blow, whether it's an injury, whether it's just a correction of play. So that's why I'm like hesitant to believe in them. But to your point, they are playing these games super hard. Teams that do that tend to run out of gas, like the Mets did last season, I'm drawing a blank here.
The Padres.
The Padres as well. There we go. The Padres at the NLDS. They should have won that series. No offense, April, because they started off strong and they just kind of withered in the playoff situation. That said, though, the first question you had about the Brewers being must-see baseball, no, they're not must-see baseball because they are a very fundamentally sound team. And fundamentally sound teams are not sexy, but you know what they're doing? And this, I saw as a Mets fan, I've been there because I've been through Grimace.
I love this.
I've been through Glizzy Iggy. I've been through all this. Is they're adding the fun stuff to get casual fans in. There's pocket pancakes and the power of friendship in Milwaukee out of nowhere. They're adding these gimmicks now to get people who are casual to get in it. Savannah Banana style. So I do think you're going to see a lot more national games from the Brewers. But the actual style of play, if someone told me I think baseball's boring, show me a game where else I'm going to not watch it again, it wouldn't be a Brewers game. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. I still, don't get me wrong, my opinion, if you will, on the viewership of the NL Central remains the same. I am not watching the Cubs. I am not watching the Brewers.
Hey, no.
I am not.
And not the Reds, because the Reds are pretty fun to watch too.
It's like, but Ellie, though, Ellie different.
The Reds are, I already said this. I'm on record saying that I think the Reds are the most exciting team to watch.
You did.
In NL Central.
They got the small part too. That's a lot of offense.
I've been warming up recently to watching the Cards. So I've been really, I have.
Warming up?
I have. Victor Scott.
Brother, it's August. What are you?
Victor Scott.
I've been checking out the Cards.
Check this out. Yeah.
Victor Scott center field is fun to watch. Mason Wynn is playing out of his mind. And if you actually watch Mason Wynn this season, he's having a career year. If you watch him, his defensive stats are better than his offensive stats. So I am warming up to watching the Cardinals. I'm just not there on the Brewers and Cubs just yet. Working my way there. But it is what it is. Hey, so last thing before we really talk about realignment, because I think that'll be the bulk of the second half of the episode. I do want to bring up, as always, the AL West. The Astros have a 1-game lead over the Mariners in the AL West. And then the Rangers have fallen off a cliff. They are 2-8 in their last 10 games. They are 7 games back now of the AL West division. And then if you were looking at the wild card situation, the Rangers have now fallen to 5.5 games back out of that Yankee slot. Also, by the way, this is not an AL West stat, but the Guardians had pulled into a half a game of the Yankees, and there was panic galore. I'm talking about panic galore in the Bronx. But now they have kind of widened that now into 3.5 games. They got some wins, and it looks as if the Rangers are not doing well. Where are we with the Mariners? Because the Mariners got swept. Malik and I were just talking about this before we went on the air. The Mariners went to Baltimore and got swept all 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Astros came to Baltimore and the Orioles beat them 2 out of 3 as well. So I know I'm out of it. I'm done. I
Fit
concede.
the Orioles in every show. I don't know
I
why.
know,
You gotta
right?
fit the Orioles in every show.
Out of the wild card is done. But now, look, the Orioles with Jeremiah Jackson, with Daniel Johnson, with Austin Jackson, they're starting to turn a little bit of a corner there. Have any of our opinions changed, April, on our outlook on the AL West? I know post trade deadline, I was really still high on Kyle Riley, the Mariners, and everything that they're doing, but they still don't seem to be able to get over that hump with the Astros.
I told y'all, Astros are my little sneaky team to watch.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Mariners are cute and fun to watch, but I am just not a believer in them when it comes to the end. And I think it's important for us to also realize there are teams who win during the season, and there are teams who know how to win when it matters. So you see the Astros getting healthy, and that Correa trade is going to be something towards the end of this season. So when it comes to the Mariners, I'm going to be honest, and I said this at the beginning of the season. I don't know if I still believe that they will be able to hold strong to take over the AL West. Is it possible? Maybe, but no, I'm still giving it to the Astros.
Hate.
Hate. What do you guys say, Malik? What do you say, Flobo, in regards to what we're making out of the AL? I mean, it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great fight down the stretch. But what do we make of the AL West? Astros still got a 1-game lead.
The Mariners are great. I'm not gonna lie, that is a good team. But they do concern me. They, as an Astros truther, they concern me, and here's the reason why. The Astros have Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez, right? Those are the 2 best pitchers. And so you get to the Mariners side, right? You got all these guys, these right-handers that literally throw gas. You got Brian Wu, you got Bryce Miller coming back. You got you literally have their best pitcher, Logan Gilbert, whose elbow somehow just reconstructed itself. So he's out there pitching, and that's one thing that the Astros don't have right now is some pitching. It's some pitching that's going to actually help them get through a 5-game stretch or a 7-game stretch. That's what concerns me. Lance McCullers, he's still coming back from being off for about 3 years. We've seen some cracks in the armor in the rotation and in the bullpen. Hader just went down. Probably won't see him until maybe next year. So the Astros have a lot of winning experience, but the Mariners are a team to be respected right now. And so I think the Astros are going to have to play their best ball for the next few weeks to be able to keep them at bay.
Flobo, what say you? AL West outlook, predictions. Who do you think is going to come out on top as it's currently constructed right now?
It ticks me off that I think that Houston's going to win with the division, and not because I think they're cheaters, because they're not, because MLB said they weren't cheaters and we all should get over it, but rather they're very similar to Los Angeles in that they could be coming out to games with like 8 fingers and 9 toes, and they still find a way to win games. And I don't know how or why. And you got the Mariners, they have these wave, no pun intended, about this swell of the fan support. And of course, Kyle Riley's going to get his individual honors. And you may have that be our fun pick when it comes down to playoffs. But to think that the Mariners are going to win the division when they're stacked against arguably one of the better GMs in all the league, I can't see it. And that's not necessarily in Seattle. I'm not trying to say they trash. It's just you're going up against a 900-pound gorilla in that division.
Yeah, I can't call it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm I tend to lean with history, and history will dictate that the Astros will find a way to win the division. But I really haven't been excited about a Mariners team. I'm thinking Griffey, Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner, Randy Johnson.
Bro,
That's
like
that's
20
the
years
last
ago.
time I was this excited about a Mariners team.
You
Again,
didn't like Cano and Cruz and Seager when they were not making
Let's
the playoffs?
go.
I like this Mariners team with Randy and Julio and Riley and Naylor. I like them. I like Woo. I like Logan Gilbert. I like them a lot, man. And they're completely opposite of what we're talking about. They're extremely fun to watch. JP Crawford and those guys are fun to watch.
They are.
So I'm looking forward to it as they go down the stretch. And again, the key is you got to do it on the field. We just talked about the Padres. You got to do it on the field. And what I mean by that is, what are you saying, Flobo?
Andre Beckles is
He's looking at the
comment.
comments.
on YouTube.
No.
gotta
I'm just
say,
saying you got to
God.
win on the field. And when it comes down to it, the Mariners, very much like the Padres, have to prove it. They have to show up. They have to punch the Astros in the face. They have to take a couple of series, and they've got to really make this, because I do think they have the potential to make this a rivalry, while rivalries are still in the same division.
Right.
One note before we switch gears and talk about realignment is that I mentioned a couple of times the quick fasting pace changes of these MLB rosters, and I mentioned Daniel Johnson coming from the Giants to the Orioles. I do have to report that Jet Johnson was sent back down to AAA just yesterday. So
was it DFA or sent down?
No, him and Ryan Noda got sent down to AAA in Norfolk.
Okay,
I
still on the
believe
team.
they called up their top prospect, Basilio, the super young power catcher. He played in yesterday's Orioles game. I didn't know the other end of that, but the other end of that is Ryan Noda and Jet Johnson have been sent to Norfolk. So Jeremiah Jackson seems definitely staying up. And again, these guys, Greg Allen, Justin Dean, these guys we're talking about now, you got to watch the rosters really closely, because they'll be there for a day, they'll be gone, they'll be sent, they'll be moved. And speaking of roster moves, Tristan McKenzie made an appearance this weekend. If you haven't heard that news, Sticks himself has now been officially signed to AAA in the Guardians organization. He is pitching in Columbus, and with the word on the street is he is working his way back up to the major leagues. So he spent basically all of this season in the complex league. If correct me if I'm wrong, kind of working on things, getting things straight. They just assigned him to AAA, and they're like, he looks good and he seems to be in a good headspace. So we'll see what happens with Tristan McKenzie, which is really interesting. As we just mentioned, at one point a week ago, the Guardians were a half a game back of the Yankees in that wild card spot. If they can get some more pitching, who knows? It could be a shot in the arm.
I just wonder, was he really that off, or they must have saw something that was so off to send him below A level to get him to this point. But
was it tipping the pitches? That was the able tipping pitches, or able to see?
No. I think his issue was physical health first, and I can't say this. I don't know. I've had the pleasure of meeting and being around Tristan McKenzie on a couple of occasions. He seems like you said, a really, really great person. From what I understand from watching, not any inside information, it seemed as if it was physical health first, and then a rabbit hole of mental stuff that followed the physical health, to the point where he was not right in regards to physically, and then mentally, and then now I think if you come back physically, hopefully you can come back mentally as well. One of the things that came up over the weekend that again, different sport, but when I was at the race, one of the things that all of these drivers, and I think a lot of baseball players as well, have sports psychiatrists now. They have people that they are talking to on a daily and weekly basis to counteract the grind, the mental grind that is these sports where you're playing them every day. You can do everything right and still not have the result that you want. right? You could do everything right in baseball, you know, approach wise, swing wise, and somebody can catch the ball, right? The funny part is we were talking about this, and it's like you can do everything right preparation wise, execution wise, driving, and your car literally could have a wheel blow up or fall. You know what I mean? And it's like that's not your fault, but everybody looks at you and is like, "What happened? You can't
Mhm.
drive," and you're like, "The wheel fell off." It has nothing to do with. So
Right.
it's an interesting thing, and obviously we wish Tristan McKenzie the very best as he worked his way back up, hopefully to the major leagues, hopefully sooner than later. So we
I'm
will
sure he
see.
will be. I think he will be.
Let's take a break to shift gears. And when I say take a break, I will take a minute to again thank our sponsors, which are the Players Alliance, Numbers Game Scorecards, Rebellion Harvest, Sunflower Seeds, Minority Prospects. As always, I want to take a quick second to tease the wonderful shows that we have that are falling under the network. That is In the Booth, hosted by Flobo Boyce,
Yes,
who
sir.
had a really, really interesting episode all things with our guy Liam, right? Just
Yeah, Liam
recently.
Skiffington, and we got another one coming up Monday. But the Liam has been so great, just covering the agent side of things. Has a new brand coming out, and In the Booth really has some good episodes this season. You gotta check it out. Whether you're a parent of kids who like the game, whether you like the idea of representation in games, check out In the Booth, Flobo Boys with this guy, me.
Exactly. And then we also have to encourage everybody to check out 10th Inning Talk. Visit 10th Inning, hosted by All About April. Obviously, super heavy when we were going through the college season, college baseball, college softball, and then obviously the brand new
AUSL.
AUSL as well. Lots going on there. April, where are we going as we get through that portion of 10th inning and moving on to now what will be our playoff push?
So before I start, I do want to give a shout out to Team USA. They took place they actually won the gold this past weekend
Hmm.
in the World Games. So they defeated Chinese Taipei with the score of like 5-0. Tiara Jennings was the MVP. My LSU Tiger, Savannah Jockwush, scored like a 3-run homer, and Team USA went completely undefeated. So one thing that I want to make sure that I do through my podcast is continue to uplift women's softball. And what is coming up is y'all know that there is a baseball league that is beginning for women. So there are going to be tryouts on August 25th. And while I am still covering the men's, I do want to make sure that out there that we ensure that the women are discussed. And I actually talked about from my complete perspective, Jen Powell on my last episode and why it's important for us to be platformed and why I'm grateful to be platformed with a lot of you guys as well, because y'all give us the hope and the experience, but also you push us forward. And that's really what a lot of women what we need. So
Excellent. Well, make sure you do visit those two podcasts that are under the network, which is In the Booth, hosted by Flobo Voice, and 10th Inning Talk, hosted by All About April. We got to figure it out, Malik. We got to figure out a way to either get you a show or get you on the blog anytime soon.
We'll be there.
Speaking of the blog, there is a bunch of new episodes on that as well. BlackBaseballMixtape.com. Do not hesitate to check out that website and all of the action on that blog. And last but not least, if you want to join our absolute free Discord and be a part of our community, send us a message and we will indeed invite you in for free. Welcome to the show. Now, let's get into it with the remaining portion of our episode. It was brought to our attention over the weekend. Rob Manfred was speaking live. And really, I think this is something that baseball fans have been they've been kind of working around the last couple of years. They've talked around regional realignment. They've talked about expansion as well. Most of them go hand in hand. If they're going to expand, will they realign and so forth? This is over the weekend for the first time, I think, publicly, which has gotten a lot of traction. Commissioner Manfred did suggest both the CNC and suggested possible expansion to more clubs And if they expand or when they expand, the idea of regional realignment and basically what that looks like for people that aren't as familiar is basically throwing away all the divisions and redrawing them to have a much more regional appeal. And so I've seen several mock-ups. I sent around a mock-up to the group chat earlier, but it's like, having the Mets and the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Phillies possibly in the same division because they're more regionally aligned. They talked about the Braves and the Marlins and the Rays, and possibly if you're calling Nashville in the South or closest thing you're going to get to the South, putting them all in the same division. Obviously, the things on the West Coast, where I live, the Orioles and the Nationals, they're possibly putting them in the same division with possibly a Charlotte expansion team. So the two expansion team talks that I saw in our mock-ups were Charlotte and Nashville. But there's a couple other places that may reach expansion level. When we talk about this is all in a big picture scheme of where baseball is going. And so you can't kind of talk about it in a vacuum. You have to talk about it when you talk about what the TV contracts are going to look like, what revenue sharing is going to look like, what expansion is going to look like, and ultimately what realignment is going to look like. Flobo, I'm going to start with you, and I will ask this. Before we get into good or bad thing, what's it look like, who goes where, um, I'll ask you, do you think 10 years down the line, we are looking at Major League Baseball's realignment that is completely different than the way it looks now? Do you think that this is all but inevitable and they're going to go to a full kind of realignment system?
Yeah, the only wild card is where the expansion teams will be if they decide to do that, or in East or West or two East. But yeah, absolutely. I think that's the way to do it. You would have to realign things the way it is right now, whether it's strength of competition or just regional things. I know you want to hold that question back about who goes what, who goes where, but really the schedule is balanced. So the schedule is balanced. It doesn't really mean as much if you have different divisions. So you can rearrange it however you see fit. For me personally, I know purists want to have something up in arms of that, but I'm old enough to remember when the Braves played in the NL West. So I don't mind that either. You know what I mean? It happens.
Yep. No, I mean, I'm still getting used to the Astros.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
real
Brewers,
tough.
yeah.
Bell Central.
Like,
Yeah.
Astros are a National League team my entire life, basically. So I'm still getting used to that. Malik, is this thing? I'm going to ask you the same question before we get into who goes there and where it looks like. Is this like inevitable? Like 10 years from now, are we looking at Major League Baseball that is expanded and realigned and completely different? What do you think?
Yes, and that's because the game is growing. The game is growing faster than it could keep up with. So I think that with just this even being talked about in a casual sense, it was definitely intentional. You know that Rob doesn't do things just tongue in cheek. So I think that this is just in the works. He's just getting people mentally prepared for it. And I think like Flobo was saying, a lot of peers might kick up in arms about it, but it's always just because change. People don't like change. They didn't like the pitch clock, and now we're kind of benefiting
It's
from.
not the pitch clock, though.
Yeah.
This is
the pitch clock, but it is a big. I would say it's a monumental change that can affect the game, in ways that will never make the game the same again, like the pitch clock. So with expanding the league, I think is going to offer more opportunities for more players to find a team, of course, but also just kind of change up the whole topography of the competition. Like Flobo was also saying, the schedule has been balanced out where it doesn't matter if you're in a certain division, you're not going to play that same, 3 or 4 teams more times than you would play other teams within the league. And so I think it kind of is going to shake out well. We're going to see some struggle buses. We're going to see some really bad we're going to see some bad teams. I will say this: every time you have an expansion, there's going to be some poop, but after that, there'll be some pearls. So happy to see that and be along the ride.
I hear you, April. I'm going to go with you with the same question. 10 years from now, is this inevitable? Are we looking at realignment, not just expansion, but expansion and realignment?
Yes. But I'm a little nervous about it. I'm not going to lie. And maybe I'm coming off from the purist side because I see it with college football, and there are some rivalries that I just miss. And I do wonder exactly what it's going to look like when they start aligning these teams. So I'm thinking a little further ahead. Will this probably be in the best interest of Major League Baseball? Absolutely, because a lot of what, whether we want to agree with it or not, it has been good what Manfred has done to push it forward. But on the other hand, I'm thinking of some of the rivalries and some of the games, and I'm like, is this actually in the best interest? And then I'm also thinking, well, some fans will be able to travel to these games and make it more closely. And I know that everybody plays everyone, but it is going to hold a little bit more weight. And the last thing that I was thinking about today was, when we make this realignment, do we also change up what the playoffs look like?
Mhm.
So my brain always goes in 50 million directions, but if we're going to make that kind of change, then I'm wondering, do we also amend what the playoffs ultimately look like again as well? So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how at this point. I feel like they let half the league in the playoffs now anyway. So the question is, if you're amending the playoffs, are you
12
doing
out of
it
30.
to allow more teams? If anything, the purist in me would say I like it when you reduced playoff. And I know they're never going to do that because
right,
more playoff games, more money. The single game wild card is like one of the
right,
most exciting things that baseball ever does. Like, play one game and that
yeah,
decides everything. They're never going to go backwards.
right,
But I do think there was some real, um, just real like weight. Like winning the pennant used to matter,
right,
right? Like winning the National League got to matter because you got to go to the postseason, right? And now it's just like, as many like get in as many times as possible. I digress. Um, I have to see it.
right,
I have to see it, and I have to be convinced after I see it that it's really the best thing for the game. I like. I mean, there's a part of me that is: are they trying to sell realignment as better for the players, like less travel? Because again, if they're still playing the balanced schedule, you know what I mean. You're still
right.
gonna have to go to a lot of places. You know what like. I'm just
So wait,
trying
what
to
are you saying? That not expanding the league, or you're saying if there were two teams to put them in the format we have now, keep the
like
National
say
American League?
say under these mock conditions, right?
Okay.
The Midwest division would be something considering the Cubs, White Sox, Brewers, and Twins, all in the same division, right? So does that make it like, what I'm saying? Is that easier for the players? I'm trying to understand why you would like move some of these really traditional divisions. Like, I believe the Yankees and the Red Sox, who would technically still be in the East Division under some of this, but
Right.
like you would look at a division where it would be like the Red Sox, Mets, Yankees, and Phillies,
Well,
all in
I was
this.
under the impression that realignment will become a result of the expansion teams first, because you'll have a divisible number by 32, and that's why you'll do it. It'll break, I would say, NorCal, SoCal, but then at the same time, Florida may actually have something to play for because their rival will be in state, if that would be the case.
Yeah, I do think, to answer your question, I do think they're all in one hand, right? Like I think expansion and realignment will go hand in hand, right? But I just I don't know what that ultimately looks like. You know what I mean? Once it shakes out, and I don't know if I'm gonna like it.
What's there to hate about it? Is this because of there's certain rivalries you think are going to be broken and it won't be new ones? Is it just because you're used to a certain thing? Like,
Don't like change.
yeah, exactly.
I
It
think
feels so
you're right.
lateral to me that I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
no, I'm with you, I'm with you, Flobo, and I agree with Malik in the sense that there may not be much to fear with realignment per se, but yeah, it's just I gotta see it. I gotta fully understand it because I don't think this will be the same. April, when you were mentioning like college realignment and like
Mm-hmm.
dropping off things off the schedule, I think Major League Baseball will make sure that the games are played, right? Like you're gonna play everyone.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think you're gonna lose like those historic rivalries that you might lose with a college realignment per se. But I just, again, it takes some time to getting used to if you're not, if the NL East is no longer the NL East and it's just the East, right?
Mm.
Right? Like, you know what I mean? It's like you're just the South. Like, if you win the South, great. What does that mean? Is it like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to figure this
Right.
out. Because is there going to be, like, with realignment, would there be an American and National League, Flobo? Like, does that
Absolutely
matter?
not. But here's the thing: like the expanded playoffs got rid of the division winner like prestige, and the playoff era got rid of the winning the pennant. There was a time when you just were the best team in your league and you had the World Series, and that was it. So like, I don't mind that necessarily at all, right? My thing is, I said my old man moment was the universal DH. I like the fact
Yeah.
that the National League had
Sure.
pitchers pitch because it had more strategy involved. You have guys throwing like 300 miles per hour, doing like 30,000 RPMs to make sure everyone's safe. It's over now. These teams are
Yep.
equal. The schedule is
Yep.
balanced. Like we really have to go and say now it's time for new rivalries because wherever we love New York, Boston, you have some teams that need someone to like the Rockies, right? Yeah, they're in the NL West, but who's
Right.
really considered Colorado a rival? I'm not, and I don't even play ball. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta switch it up sometimes. That's the best that Rob can do. Not defending the commissioner of baseball, but I'm
Right.
all for it.
Under to the Jim Bowden's proposed realignment, the Rockies would be in the Pacific Coast Division that featured
Jim Bowden.
the Athletics, the Mariners, the Giants, and the Rockies.
Rockies and A's. I'm with it.
But I
Sign me up.
so I see what you're saying here. So it's like under some of these kind of ideas, you scrap the American League, you scrap the National League. Is that what we're doing? We're scrapping,
Unfortunately, yes.
You scrapping the traditional divisions. You line up all of the divisions by regional, and then basically best records just get into the playoffs. Is that what it is?
Best
I think
record of divisions or just best record? Because that's the other question for me.
Yeah, I mean, they can have there's really a fork in the road there, whether or not they want to
Yep.
keep the wild card format to have more
Yeah.
team expansion. But you can really, in theory, have the division winners of all 8 divisions move forward.
Right.
But that's another thing I was looking at from a positive angle because everybody is duking it out. You got the Padres, Giants. When the Diamondbacks are good, them Dodgers, and then you look at the NL East when they're good and so forth. Having that new realignment can resurrect some teams to even feel confident enough to maybe make some decent moves as well. So I'm trying to look at it from all angles, but I'm not opposed to it. But I wonder what this could ultimately resurrect within the league as well.
Malik, and just for the record, I'll let you jump in here as well. But the commissioner's argument publicly has been you expand to the 32 teams. So, Flobo, you're right about that. I think you expand once you get to the 32, then you make the realignment that would restructure the current American League National League format to a better, more regional realignment. This is to a quote unquote to ML, to what people are saying, to reduce travel for the players and create more geographically based divisions.
I like it. I think there's brand, like I said before, there's brands like the Yankees are going to be fine. Dodgers are going to be fine because they have rivals every day of the week. But I'm looking at Florida baseball. That has to be supported somehow because even though you want to expand, those teams suffer in attendance. And despite the Marlins breaking their attendance record this weekend, the Rocky Mountain teams, Arizona and Colorado, I like those teams as well. They also need some support as well. So I get it. Like it's a smart GM commissioner move, but you're gonna get you're ruining the game from everyone because it's not what we're used to.
So Malik, again, they've got some reasons for pros, they've got some reasons for cons. Malik, the biggest reason for con is fan reaction. If you're commissioner, seriously, it's fan reaction. if you are Commissioner Manfred, would you be concerned that the biggest concern here is fan reaction?
No, not if you're asking me if I'm Manfred. I'm not going to be concerned.
Right.
We know that Manfred over the years has made
Right.
decisions in the league for the league, and probably not with all the league's consent to to move the game forward in a way that he believes that he needs to move it forward. So if I were Manfred, I really wouldn't care about the fan reaction, especially given that I have a kind of a contract at the end of 2029, and I just want to make sure I do my job and leave my mark on the game. And so I don't think if I were Manfred, would be quite worried about that. I had a question for y'all though. Like, we saw the projections of what cities are being picked or what could be in the works, but if y'all could pick a city to expand the game to, what would it be? I've been like really thinking on this, and like, what city deserves a baseball team?
Like for fun or like practical? It makes sense of the game.
Like for practical, I would say like
okay.
a city that really like they got like great culture, great food, great traffic. I mean, what city do y'all think should really have a team at this point?
If I had to, yeah.
Would
If
you
I had
say?
to pen,
Would
she said
you say
Nashville.
April?
Nashville has always been at the top of my list, and I've always been shocked as a baseball fan that they do not have a team, because they are a legit baseball state. They support, they're out there. So yes, definitely Nashville is like at the top of the list. If there's a list, just Nashville on top.
Would it be biased if I said that Texas could use a third team?
Yes.
Where?
Yes.
I mean, like,
Antonio.
if you think about every state that produces baseball players, you think of Florida, you think of Texas, think of California has 4 teams, at least 5 teams, right? I mean, is my math wrong? Either way,
Athletics are not really a team. They're kind of just like a vagabond type deal.
Either way, they're just they're there though. They're there right now. So I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like cities.
It would be San Antonio. If you're looking at Texas, it'd be San Antonio.
It would be San Antonio.
Teams in Houston, they've got teams in Dallas.
Yeah, they got that. So I mean, San Antonio would kind of cover that Austin traffic as well. I don't know. Maybe they
That's what I was like. I'm not trying to get on 35 though.
No one's trying to, but
That's a good question, Malik. And I'm gonna look. I'll pull my regional bias and say Charlotte. Charlotte has proven they can host an NBA franchise. They can host an NFL franchise. I think they've got MLS. I mean, they've got everything except Major League Baseball. And I think the Charlotte Knights have proven that they can bring in revenue there. So I would go with Charlotte. I would actually say Charlotte even over Nashville. I know Nashville. Love my Nashville Stars people. They are very loud. They've been rooting very hard for a place there, and all their work that they've done with the Negro Leagues and so forth. I love the story that they're building in Nashville. So I'm rooting for them. But I would, if I got to pick one, I'm picking Charlotte.
Right. I could see New Orleans in a different universe too. I could see it. We got it's in the Caribbean in a certain way. You got a lot of you do. I mean, come on now,
man. The New Orleans Pelicans, that city, a baseball team.
Yes,
the most humid city in the country.
It is actually a very big baseball.
You want to put in the most humid city in the country an outdoor sport.
That ball's gonna fly. That ball's gonna fly, baby. Unless they got a dome stadium, they're probably gonna have a dome stadium. To be honest,
there was some talk. I want to say maybe a year ago or so about Mexico City. So
that ball's gonna fly for sure.
They've got baseball in Canada. There was a talk about hosting an MLB team in Mexico City. Do you think that's even a possibility?
I wouldn't, not because I'm against Mexico bias, is that city specifically is so high in elevation, it's almost unfair. It's like higher than Denver. Like, why would you go 8,000 feet for one part? That just sounds like excessive.
It'll be in a magnificent city, though. I would say. I think the players will love it. I think they love the real estate opportunities and just like the culture, the food. But it might, like I was saying, like Flobo was saying, the competition is going to be a little crazy, and the pitchers are not going to be very happy. Like Severino, how he is in Sacramento.
Yes, he's not happy now.
I looked it up. Nashville is blackout by the Reds and the Braves. So if anything, those owners would have to agree on a Nashville expansion, which is interesting. But if I had to choose, if it was up to me for fun, I would say Portland on the West Coast.
There's some Portland talk.
Yeah, the
I've
pickle
heard
stuff.
that.
But if I was trying to be a shrewd businessman and trying to see if emerging markets, it will be Salt Lake. It will be Salt Lake, and that to me isn't fun, but that will give you the highest return on investment. Is going to Salt Lake.
It would be.
Salt
It
Lake?
would be.
Yeah. So Portland, you brought up some good ones. So Portland, Salt Lake,
Portland, I've heard.
Charlotte, Nashville, San Antonio, all have been mentioned as possibilities. I think there was an article I read. The one city that wasn't brought up in this conversation, Orlando and Montreal both.
Montreal, bring it back.
And Montreal, yes. Orlando, no.
Quebec City.
Orlando, Montreal, and I believe
Disney.
San Jose.
Disney.
No.
San Jose.
No.
As
California?
well, these are some of them, along with the others that you mentioned. Hey, look, guys, I as we wrap this thing up, I think I'm with you guys. I think all of us agree that expansion is inevitable. Some form of realignment is inevitable as well.
Mhm.
I'll be interested to see the timetable of when that happens and who's ultimately the person to pull the trigger. We are living in some really interesting times in regards to baseball structuring, and Manfred seems to be kind of the linchpin that is holding a lot of the change, if you will. Like, he's the guy that is his reign may see a lot of change.
Yeah.
All of this is coming on the backdrop of a possibly, really, really nasty labor fight that is coming up sooner than later. So I will be interested to see how all of this plays out when we talk about expansion, realignment, along with the possibility that there might not be baseball coming up in in a year. So with that said, we're going to wrap this show up today. I want to thank all of you for being a part of it. As always, I want you to subscribe to the podcast, rate it, or Flobo made it very clear that he wants to be rated 5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. Want to thank our partners one more time: Players Alliance, Minority Prospects, Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds, and Numbers Game Scorecards. We are going to be here again, same bat time, same bat channel next week.